When I did the London Loop, a 150-mile orbital walk around London, and subsequently the Capital Ring, 78 miles in length, I discovered that walking really is the best way to discover new places, to go out and have an explore, have an adventure. And although I've not done any long distance walks since, some of them are quite hard to do because there's not many stations along its routes, I've continued to do my own walks, sometimes sections of long distance paths, or I've just come up with my own walks, but I've since come across a long distance path that looks doable, and conveniently the entire route I do not have planned to visit on any of my own walks. So without further ado, welcome to the Greensand Way. The Greensand Way is 108 miles in length and runs from Haslemere in Surrey to Ham Street in Kent, and I'll probably do it over the course of 11 days. Not all at once though. The videos will be split up over a long while. The best thing is that I have used none of the stations on this line, and so this is completely new territory for me today, and we're going to start by heading into Haslemere's town centre. Explore the Surrey Hills area of outstanding natural beauty. That is exactly what we're going to be doing today. This bus stop here has a lot of information on the Greensand Way. There's the entire route. We're right down here at the very, very beginning. Well, I'm already quite liking Haslemere. There's some beautiful old buildings like this jeweller's shop here. I would have thought that it was established a lot earlier than 1977 though. This is kind of the main shopping street of Haslemere, and somewhere up here should be the turning off for the Greensand Way. There's a nice Victorian postbox here. Not in the usual red colour either. Well, here we go. I found it. Our first indication that we are on the Greensand Way. Haslemere to Limpsfield, 55 miles. I'm guessing that's the Surrey border. Right, well, let's do this. Onwards. Our first directional signpost. This is what we're going to be looking out for. GW, with a tower as well. I think I know where that tower is. Presumably we'll see it on a later section. And over the railway line. We won't see this again until the very end of the walk. There's some strange rock formations. Someone's designed some sort of pattern on the embankment there. St Bartholomew's Church. I wonder just how many churches we'll come across on the entire Greensand Way route. A different type of Greensand Way marker post here, pointing the way ahead away from the roads. The light at the end of the tunnel. This is a cool pathway to walk through. Already I'm getting a teaser for some of the views that we may get on this walk today. I'm really looking forward to our first signature location. Our first little stream. Everything at the beginning of this walk is going to be a first, of course, but I don't know the name of this one, if I'm being honest. Whew, this is steep. This is a really steep path. Whoa, this tree has come crashing down across the pathway here. I feel like these other ones are about to do the same any moment now. It's a really steep path, by the way. I was going to say how I haven't seen anyone apart from one person so far. I'm surprised no one else is out walking, but maybe it's because of this path. It looks much steeper in person, I promise you. I'm almost at the top. I'm slightly out of breath and I can hear cars in the distance, which is pertinent because they're actually passing underneath me right now. I am going over a road tunnel known as the Hind Head Tunnel, which is the longest non-estuarial tunnel road in the country. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on, because that tunnel is actually relatively new. Well, hey, I've made it. 3 miles in. Welcome to Hindhead Commons and the Devil's Punch Bowl. National Trust Devil's Punch Bowl. That's an interesting place name to add to my collection of National Trust signs. I'm gonna go find a place to sit down and I want to tell you a story. So this is probably the highlight of today's walk here at the Devil's Punch Bowl. I even picked up a leaflet which has a map inside. I'll admit that I first thought we were in Hampshire here, but we're actually very close to the border of it. We are in Surrey. I've made trips before to meet someone who lived near the border of Surrey and Hampshire, and after I stopped going, I realised that even though I had been, I hadn't actually explored any of the areas around here. So I had a look at the map one day and discovered that there are a lot of forests and hills around this part of the country. And I came up with a list of quite a few places that I would like to visit, but then just never got around to visiting any of them. Except one day I came across the Greensand Way, found out that it came here to the Devil's Punch Bowl because this was one of the locations I wanted to go to. So I thought, that's perfect. I can do the Greensand Way and come here, because I was always struggling to come up with a walk to include this location, because there's so many other places I want to go to that if I was to do all of them, it would be a very long walk. So I get to do Devil's Punch Bowl today with the Greensand Way, and I get to explore the other places another time. It's a very intriguing name though, the Devil's Punch Bowl, and I feel like we should actually go and see the Punch Bowl. Oh, wow. The Devil's Punch Bowl. That is an incredible view. You can see for so many miles. Ah, this must be an old trig point. They've turned it into a donation box. I've never seen that before. The name of Devil's Punch Bowl is so intriguing that I had to find out why it was called such. So urban legend, Thor lived nearby, the god of thunder. Essentially down in that valley there, Thor's lie, which gives its name to Thursley. We're going to be near to that later. The devil would torment him. They would fight. And one day the devil retaliated by picking up a bunch of land and dashing it toward him, thus creating the Punch Bowl, the view that I'm looking out at right now. I've been wanting to come here for 4 years. I'm happy that after all this time, I've finally visited this location. So remember how I mentioned the Hindhead Tunnel, how it runs underneath the Devil's Punch Bowl here? Well, that tunnel only opened in 2011. It's a very important link road between London and Portsmouth, the A3, and through here it got very congested. It was a narrower road. Because of the hills, it's quite steep in parts. So they did something about it. They built a new tunnel instead, wider, so cars could get through much easier. That left an abandoned road in the area. Well, I'm currently on that road. I'm on the old A3. It's been reclaimed by nature, which is brilliant because it opens up this whole place. It makes it so much more accessible, so much easier to walk through, and just so much prettier because we don't have a giant road cutting straight through it. I love that the road is no longer here. I can stand on where it used to be. In only a short amount of time, it looks so incredibly different. So at this point here, where I think I'm right on top of the Hindhead Tunnel, you would never know there's a giant road beneath your feet. So the story of the old A3 continues here with the Sailor's Stone, but it's quite a tragic story. A sailor who was travelling on the road from London to Portsmouth was murdered by people he had befriended in a local inn. This happened as far back as 1786, and although it's a really sad story, it is a beautiful resting place. The 3 murderers were caught and were hung here on Jibbet Hill, where they were punished and served as a warning to others. Their bodies hung here for 3 years until they were blown away by a storm, and this Celtic cross marks the point of where the gibbet was. It's an area rich in story. There's so much to talk about in such a tightly compacted part of the landscape. You can see why I was so fascinated in wanting to come here for such a long time. But before we leave, before we carry on with the Greensand Way, we should go and have a look at the view. We got another trig point here on the summit of Jibbet Hill, and a view which may rival the Devil's Punch Bowl. That is seriously impressive. So Jibbet Hill is the 2nd highest point in Surrey. The highest point we'll actually see another day on a future Greensand Way section, and there's nobody here at all. How is there no one here? Is this a remnant, perhaps, of the old A3? A slow sign? I can hear the cars again, which means that somewhere down there, the Hindhead Tunnel has come out into the open. It definitely feels like I'm on the old A3 road here. I mean, there's even a little bit of a curb, isn't there? But not anymore. I'm heading this way. We're saying goodbye to the Devil's Punch Bowl and Jibbet Hill area. Ah, farewell Devil's Punch Bowl. You're an absolute delight to walk through. It's interesting how you have it as 1 word here, but the other sign had it as 2. So it seems like there's some sort of proposed diversion for the footpaths that I'm on. So the dotted lines is the proposed new route, which will cut straight across rather than doing a 90 degrees like I've just done now. It was quite a tight corner, to be honest, but they're going to have to make some sort of path across this field, so I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not, but it could. I love that there's just been no one on these footpaths at all. I've just had it to myself, being out surrounded by nature and sheep now as well. So I've made it to St Michael and All Angels Church here in Thursley. You know, I was expecting there to be a clock on the spire, but no, it's like a sundial instead. That's unusual. I don't often come inside churches when I walk past them, but the door was open. I do like it though, it's beautifully peaceful in here. I'm sat in the churchyard in the shade, just taking a little bit of a break. I wanted to say just how impressed I am by the Greensand Way so far. See, I knew that the Devil's Punch Bowl was going to be a highlight, but I already feel like it's going to be a highlight of not just this section, but the entirety of the Greensand Way. It's just been so beautiful so far. The views have been incredible. I've picked an amazing day for it. The weather is just perfect. And it's just been really nice just being out in the countryside. There's no one around. You've just got the whole place to yourself, and there's just something magical about that. It's so tranquil. And I don't know if there's going to be any kind of highlights for the rest of this walk. I don't know if there's going to be any notable landmarks or anything. I think it is just going to be a nice gentle stroll across some fields and some woodlands, and I'm more than okay with that because it's just so pleasant to be out here. I've been loving today so far. I'm really happy I've come out and finally started the Greensand Way. It's been amazing. Before I carry on with the last few miles of the first section of Greensand Way, I've come up to the village of Thursley. I mentioned it earlier, so I thought I might as well, considering it's only 5 minutes up the road. I'm glad I have, because there is a village sign. Is that supposed to be Chris Hemsworth himself up there? I'm back en route and I feel like everything's beginning to tie together. We went to see Thursley after I mentioned it earlier, and now we're passing underneath the A3. I thought we'd go over it, but I guess not. I've had to come up one road to get to the other side of it to then go all the way back down. And I'm hoping past this point we'll have a nice evening stroll with some beautiful scenery right through to the end of the walk. And at the end of a pathway, you turn left and it brings you right out onto the station platform. So the Greensand Way, section 1, comes to an end here at Whitley station. We're not even in Whitley, that's actually a way up the road. We're in a place called Wormley instead. The station has had a previous name, Whitley for Chiddingfold, and it still mentions it on whatever this building is here behind the car park. I mean, Chiddingfold is a great name, but Whitley and Wormley would have been brilliant. Whitley's a very quiet station. There's not a whole lot around here at all. I quite like it actually. Well, Greensand Way. First impressions. Amazing, beautiful, incredible scenery throughout, lovely paths to take across fields and through woodlands. I will absolutely be coming back here and doing section 2 and future sections. I've really felt like there was nostalgic moments today of me doing the London Loop. There were fond memories that resurfaced whilst taking some of the paths. I was surprised by the lack of people on the footpaths because it was such a nice day. I thought other people would be out doing the Greensand Way. There were people at Devil's Punch Bowl because, you know, visitor centre, car park, it's a viewpoint, but no one on the long distance footpath. I feel like it's a bit of a underrated one, an underappreciated one. I mean, I didn't even know about it for such a long time. You have the North Downs and the South Downs Way either side. They're much more notable. People know about them ones. The Greensand Way is underrated. I've thoroughly enjoyed my day out. I would recommend the Greensand Way. Thank you for coming along with me. I think I've made a friend.